Let's transition to the NFC and let's talk about the Eagles' dominant performance over the Giants Saturday night at Lincoln Financial Field. It was a beatdown, ladies and gentlemen. The Eagles beat the Giants 38-7. For the Giants, Daniel Jones, he struggled. He went 15 of 27. He threw for 135 passing yards, 1 interception. For the Eagles, Jalen Hurts went 16 of 24. He threw for 154 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He also ran a touchdown in as well. Here is Nick Sirianni on Jalen Hurts after the game, giving him some high praise. Take a listen.
To have him out there is like, I know this is high praise, but to have him out there is like having, I shouldn't even go there, but like he's having like Michael Jordan out there. Like he's your leader. He's your leader. He's your guy. He's your, like that's, hopefully that's the biggest respect I can pay to him, comparing to his ability to being on the field to a Michael Jordan type. Like this guy leads, he brings this calmness to the entire team. He plays great football. He's tough as they come. Yeah, I mean, to me, there ain't nobody has played any better football than him this year.
That was Nick Sirianni in his post-game press conference talking about his quarterback, Jalen Hurts. So my biggest takeaway in this game was Jalen Hurts, his shoulder is fine. He's good. I thought Jalen Hurts played great in this game. And I thought on the opening possession of the game, I thought Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, and the Eagles, they let it rip. One of the first plays of the game was a completion to Devontae Smith. And I said, oh, Jalen Hurts looks good. He looks like he is ready to rock and roll. And I thought the entire game, the Philadelphia Eagles, they proved why they were not only the best team in the NFC East, but the NFC overall. I thought the offensive line and the defensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles dominated the New York Giants in the trenches. Seriously. I mean, the way that they were able to control the line of scrimmage in this game, that's something that I haven't seen in a while. Like, they completely dominated the line of scrimmage in this game. We can talk about all the skill position players, Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Brandon Ayuk, and Deebo Samuel for the Niners. You know, Travis Kelce for the Chiefs. We can talk about all the skill position players you want to. At the end of the day, this time of year, the teams who have good offensive lines and good defensive lines are teams that are still playing and competing for Super Bowls. That's where we're at in the season. And I thought in this game, the Eagles' offensive line, I'm going to start off with them. I'm going to get to the defensive line here in a bit. The Eagles' offensive line completely dominated the Giants' defensive line. You look at what the Eagles were able to do on the offensive line. I got 5 names. Center, Jason Kelce. Right guard, Isaac Samala. Right tackle, Lane Johnson. Left guard, Landon Dickerson. And left tackle, Jordan Mailata. They completely took over this football game for the Philadelphia Eagles. They made it easy for Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts played well in this game, and the shoulder was not a problem at all. It was not a problem at all. Jalen Hurts in this game, he goes 16 of 24, very efficient, 154 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. But he was able to run the football as well. 9 carries, 34 rushing yards, average close to 4 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. Jalen Hurts played well in this game. And he was an MVP candidate throughout the regular season. 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 3,700 passing yards this year. I thought that Jalen Hurts needed to be great for the Philadelphia Eagles to have a chance to compete for a Super Bowl. And that was the question that I had going into this game. Because I had the Eagles winning this game, but I had the game being close. I had the Eagles winning 27-24 because I didn't know how effective Jalen Hurts was going to be with that banged up shoulder. If I knew Jalen Hurts was going to be effective and his shoulder wasn't going to be an issue, I would have picked the Eagles to beat the Giants by way more than 3 points. I didn't expect him to be as effective as he was in this game. He was very, very effective. And this is Jalen Hurts as a starter this year. In the 2022 season, the Eagles are 15-1. They averaged 29 points per game, 392 yards per game, 164 total rushing yards per game, and 34 touchdowns as an offense with Jalen Hurts as their starter. That includes the playoffs as well. Jalen Hurts is everything for this Philadelphia Eagles football team. And the only reason why I had questions about the Eagles coming into the playoffs was because he got injured. They started turning the ball over. They had injuries. And I just didn't know if they were going to be able to restart that engine once the playoffs started. And the Giants had all the momentum heading into this football game. They had all the momentum heading into this game. Daniel Jones played the best game of his career in the wild card game against the Vikings. And I'm going to get to him here in a bit. But the Giants had all the momentum heading into this game. And the Eagles dominated this game start to finish. It was 28-0 at halftime. It was 28-0 at halftime. I left. I'm gonna tell you, Saturday night, I was watching the Jaguars Chiefs game in the 4:00 window, and then I said, okay, we're gonna get an NFC East battle in the playoffs. Daniel Jones versus Jalen Hurts. Brian Daboll, who should be coach of the year, or at least in the conversation, right with Doug Peterson. We got Brian Daboll versus Nick Sirianni. Giants, Eagles in Philly, Lincoln Financial Field on a Saturday night. I'm here for it. I left at halftime. I left and went out and got a chance to hang out with some friends. The game was over at halftime, ladies and gentlemen. It was over. And the Eagles were the significantly better team. They were the better team. And they had the most rushing yards in a playoff game. This was the second most rushing yards in an Eagles playoff game in franchise history. In 1949, they had 274 rushing yards against the Rams. They had 268 rushing yards against the Giants Saturday night. They completely dominated in the trenches. Jalen Hurts this year, 6-0 versus 2022 playoff teams, 3-0 this year against the Giants. But this Eagles defense also was elite in this game. They didn't give the Giants any sniff of hope to come back in this game at all. That Eagles defensive line dominated the Giants offensive line. They like Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrove, Josh Sweat, linebacker, TJ Edwards, Kaiser White, and then in the secondary, they got CJ Gardner-Johnson. They got big play Darius Slay, Reed Blankenship. Defensively, this Eagles football team is one of the best defenses that we have in the NFL. They are led by defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon, and I thought they were sensational in this game. And you look at what the Eagles defense has done. This is the most sacks in a single season in the last 40 years. In 18 games played in 1984, the Bears had 82 sacks. The 1985 Bears in 19 games had 80 sacks. The 2022 Philadelphia Eagles defensively, they have in 18 games, 75 sacks. 75 sacks. They had 5 sacks in this game against the New York Giants. So they have no weaknesses on this football team. Nowhere. That's why I'm so excited for the NFC Championship game. They have no weaknesses on this football team. Offensively, their receivers are loaded with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Their running backs with Sanders. They're good. Jalen Hurts is good. They got a tight end and Goddard, who's good as well. Defensively, they got C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Blankenship, big play Darius Slay. Up front, they got Fletcher Cox. They got Brandon Graham. Linebacker, T.J. Edwards. I mean, they are loaded. This Eagles football team is loaded. They have no weaknesses as a football team. None. So, man, the NFC Championship game is going to be a great, great game between the two best teams in the NFC. We get the two best teams in the NFC. Now, when it comes to Daniel Jones and the New York Giants, Daniel Jones made strides this year. He played better this season compared to what he did in his first 3 seasons of his career. He really did. But and it's funny because I had someone last week who commented on my video on I believe it was the preview of the Giants Vikings game. Someone said they don't want to listen to me anymore because I'm hard on Daniel Jones. But this game right here specifically is an example as to why the Giants should be hesitant to give Daniel Jones a long-term contract and make him their franchise quarterback. Yes, Daniel Jones made strides this year. He had arguably the best season of his career under Brian Daboll. But he only had 15 touchdown passes. 15 touchdown passes during the regular season. And he had a great performance against the Minnesota Vikings. But the Minnesota Vikings defensively have one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. So many quarterbacks. Mac Jones had a great performance against the Vikings. The quarterback for the Jets, I can't think of his name right now. The backup, Mike White, he had a great performance against the Vikings. The Vikings pass defense is one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. So, yes, Daniel Jones had a great performance against the Vikings. But how much credibility does that have when it comes to making him your franchise quarterback? Look at the remaining quarterbacks in the divisional round. Just the divisional round, okay? Brock Purdy has played well for the 49ers, and he's proven more in the playoffs in this short period than Daniel Jones already has. Dak Prescott is better than Daniel Jones. In the AFC, Trevor Lawrence, he's better than Daniel Jones. Mahomes and Burrow, we ain't going to talk about them. Josh Allen, he's better than Daniel Jones. So if I'm the New York Giants and I'm that organization, I am really, really thinking long and hard about giving Daniel Jones a long-term deal and making him my franchise quarterback. I'm not sure what the situation is from a contract standpoint but I'm seriously trying to franchise Daniel Jones if I can. I'm definitely bringing back Saquon for sure. I thought Saquon this year had a great season. 295 carries, 1,312 passing yards, averaging over 4.5 yards per carry, 10 touchdowns. You're going to need Saquon Barkley moving forward. He's the best player on this football team. Best player. Now, the Giants also need to improve with their receivers. They don't have no reliable number one receiver. I like what the receiver Hodges was able to do late in the season, but they need to go out and get a receiver that's a number one option. Richie James, he's okay. Slayton is okay. They need a number one receiver. Burrow has Jamar Chase. Patrick Mahomes has Travis Kelce. Josh Allen has Stephon Diggs. So you have to get Daniel Jones if you're going to make him your franchise quarterback moving forward. You got to get him a reliable number one receiver who is a game changer. That's what this Giants football team, they don't have that. They don't have that. So that was my biggest takeaway from that game. The Eagles were by far the better team, and the Eagles are the class of the NFC East. NFC East, they had a good year. They really, really did. Everyone made the playoffs but the Commanders. But the Eagles are by far the best team in the NFC East overall.